Did you know that 85% of jobs are filled through networking? That's a staggering number. Yet, many people struggle with how to connect and influence others. In fact, studies show that 70% of people feel uncomfortable in social situations. If you've ever felt nervous at a networking event or unsure how to approach someone new, you're not alone. But here's the good news. Winning friends and influencing people is a skill anyone can learn. In today's world, your ability to connect with others can open doors you never thought possible. Imagine walking into a room and feeling confident, making lasting connections, and inspiring those around you. In this video, we'll dive into unique strategies that can transform your leadership style. You'll learn how to master empathetic persuasion, develop charisma, and harness the power of storytelling. Plus, we'll uncover the hidden strength in vulnerability and the impact of small gestures. Stay tuned, because by the end, you'll have the tools to build strong relationships and become a leader who truly influences others. Let's get started on this journey to becoming a more influential you. Chapter 1. Master the art of empathetic persuasion. Empathy is a game changer in leadership. People don't just want to be heard, they want to be understood. According to a study from the Center for Creative Leadership, 50% of people who were rated low in empathy were also rated low in job performance. That's not a coincidence. When you show empathy, you're not just acknowledging someone's feelings, you're actively building trust. Let's take this to the next level. When you're in a meeting, instead of jumping straight into problem solving, pause. Ask questions like, how do you feel about this situation? Or, what's been your biggest frustration? Dale Carnegie, the author of How to Win Friends and Influence People, once said, when dealing with people, remember you are not dealing with creatures of logic, but creatures of emotion. Empathy taps into this truth. Another effective tactic is mirroring. No, not copying what someone says word for word, but reflecting their emotions and tone. If someone is frustrated, acknowledge it. It sounds like this issue has been really stressful for you. Mirroring builds a subtle connection because it shows you're tuned in. A final tip? Use empathy even when giving feedback. Instead of saying, you need to do this differently, try, I understand why you approached it this way, but let's explore another method together. You'll find that people are more open to suggestions when they feel you're on their side. Chapter 2. Charisma isn't magic. It's a skill. A lot of people think charisma is something you're born with. The truth? It's a skill anyone can develop. Research from Princeton University found that people form impressions in just 1/10 of a second. That means your first impression really matters. But don't worry, charisma isn't about being flashy. It's about being present. The first strategy to build charisma is simple: give your full attention. In today's world of constant distractions, people notice when you're really there. That means putting your phone away, making eye contact, and being engaged in the conversation. According to a study by Harvard Business Review, leaders who are perceived as charismatic have a 68% higher chance of influencing others. The second tactic is to smile more. Not a forced grin, but a genuine smile that makes people feel comfortable. Dale Carnegie once wrote, "A smile is the universal welcome." Smiling creates an immediate sense of warmth and approachability, which is the core of charisma. Finally, use the power of storytelling. Humans are wired for stories. Instead of bombarding someone with facts or data, share an experience or an analogy. A good story is 22 times more memorable than facts alone, according to Stanford University research. The next time you're explaining an idea, frame it as a story. You'll not only capture attention but also become more relatable. Chapter 3. The subtle science of active listening. If you want to be influential, you need to be a great listener. Active listening is much more than nodding your head and throwing in a few ahas. It's about really absorbing what someone is saying and showing that their words matter. In fact, a study by McKinsey showed that leaders who are good listeners are 40% more effective at building strong relationships. Start with the basics. When someone speaks, resist the urge to interrupt. Silence can be powerful. When you let someone finish their thought fully, it shows respect and gives you more time to understand their perspective. In How to Win Friends and Influence People, Carnegie wrote, "Be a good listener. Encourage others to talk about themselves. It's amazing how much influence you can build just by letting others feel heard." Another technique is reflective listening. This involves paraphrasing what the other person said to confirm you understood it correctly. For example, "So what you're saying is, you're concerned about meeting the deadline, right?" Reflective listening keeps the conversation clear and ensures there's no miscommunication. Finally, pay attention to nonverbal cues. Body language speaks volumes. Notice if someone is crossing their arms, fidgeting, or avoiding eye contact. These subtle signals often tell you more than words. A study by UCLA showed that 55% of communication is nonverbal, so if you're not paying attention to body language, you're missing more than half the conversation. If you're finding these tips helpful, don't forget to hit that subscribe button. Join our community for more insights on leadership and influence. Chapter 4. Building Influence Through Authentic Vulnerability. Vulnerability might not be the first thing you think of when it comes to leadership. But showing vulnerability actually builds stronger connections. According to Brené Brown, a research professor at the University of Houston, vulnerability is the birthplace of innovation, creativity, and change. When leaders show they're human, it creates trust and makes others feel safe to be themselves. One way to do this is by admitting mistakes. Instead of pretending you have it all figured out, own your errors. "I was wrong, and here's what I've learned," can be a powerful sentence. People respect leaders who are honest about their shortcomings. Carnegie said, "If you are wrong, admit it quickly and emphatically. It's a fast way to earn respect." Sharing personal challenges is another way to show vulnerability. Let's say you struggled with a tough project or decision. Share that experience with your team. When people see that you've been in their shoes, they'll feel more connected and open to your guidance. Just don't turn every conversation into a therapy session. Use your struggles to inspire, not overwhelm. Finally, ask for feedback. It can feel uncomfortable to open yourself up to criticism, but it's essential for growth. Plus, when your team sees you value their opinion, it creates a culture of openness and trust. A survey by the Harvard Business Review found that leaders who ask for feedback are seen as 86% more effective by their teams. Chapter 5. Crafting Stories That Inspire Action. Great leaders know how to tell a great story. And this isn't just about being entertaining. Stories can actually drive action. According to a study from Emory University, hearing a well-told story activates the same parts of the brain as if you were experiencing the event firsthand. That's the power of storytelling. So, how do you craft stories that stick? Start by using real-life examples. When you share personal stories, it makes your message relatable. Take this quote from Carnegie. "Your purpose is to make the other person want to do what you want them to do." A story that taps into emotions makes this much easier. Next, frame your stories with a challenge and a solution. People love to hear about overcoming adversity. Show the struggle and then explain how you resolved it. This creates a clear path from problem to solution, which can inspire your team to take action. Use concrete details to paint the picture. It helps people visualize the outcome. Don't forget the emotional hook. Research from the Wharton School at the University of Pennsylvania found that stories with emotional content are shared more often. Why? Because emotions create connection. Whether it's a story of perseverance or humor, if it hits the right emotional note, it will stick with people long after they hear it. If you enjoyed this content, please subscribe to our channel. Join us for more tips and insights on becoming a better leader. Together, we can make a real difference.